After tripping and falling into theatre as a student in 1974, I have been...
Buckland.
Oh my God, give me a chance!
I'm sorry. These are just...
This is why she's a nerd.
This is simple.
From Television One Network, presenting tonight's...
Hello and welcome to season 2 of the Know It Alls podcast with your favorite popular culture nerds, Fezi Mthonti. As you can see, Ayanda Charlie is not with us. She is on leave because this is an equitable working environment. So she has given us her incredible blessings to bring in some co-hosts for a little bit of the season. And then once she gets back, it's business as usual. So we have some wonderful people up in store for you this season. This season, and I am so thrilled that 208 of you have decided to be know-it-alls. We are so thrilled. Before we get more excited about our time here, I am just so thrilled today because in the house we have Danielle Bowler.
Thank you for having me.
I'm like, oh my God. We were speaking off camera being like, you are never on anything. And here you are with us.
Listen, you know.
You are shooting a show for the Know It All podcast. We are so thrilled.
I think it's going to be fun.
It's going to be amazing. Okay, so some of you might not know who Danielle Bowler is. Actually, if you're a proper Know It All, you do know. Because in, I think, when we're thinking about those very interesting women in that show, I've even forgot. I've blanked them.
The Real Housewives?
No, it's not even the Real Housewives. The Girls Trip.
The Girls Trip.
We of course used Danielle Bowler's incredible writing around colored identity to kind of situate the conversation. If you haven't watched that episode, please do. And then let me give you a sense of who's in front of us, okay? In my mind, I think you're one of the most prolific essayists, writers, and thinkers in the country, who has become an arts journalist, an arts editor. It's really interesting to me how you kind of transformed your space in the Business Day and the column that you had to where it was such an incredibly thoughtful, rich...
EWN.
Was it EWN? Sorry, my bad. Where, you really kind of like took ownership of that place and then like ended up doing some really interesting stuff with magazines and Mail and Guardian Friday, and you know, you were the editor to New Frame and just all these like incredible things. So I think Dani is like a writer's writer. Those who know. Possibly one of the most stylish people in the world.
Hey!
Weren't you 2019's Glamour said that you were the most glamorous guest at the Glamour Style Awards? Yes, I did my research. You can't even say no. Right? Recently you've made your debut as the curator supreme at your exhibition at Market Photo Workshop, which was entitled Reflections on Black Girlhood. That's still showing, by the way. It's an incredible, beautiful exhibition. And then a theatre maker and a singer-songwriter who at some point is going to stop Frank Oceaning us and give us things.
No, for real.
Right?
No, for real. There's, do you know what? I always say, don't believe me until I tell you that the things in mixing and mastering. But we are moving.
Yes.
We have movement.
I feel like you were in London
At some
8 years ago telling us.
8 years ago.
You were in London in this prestigious studio in London, and still, Queen, what's happening?
Babes, there is movement though. There is movement. I think it's been a very on and off situation.
Okay.
And I don't know. You know, my friend Bronwyn has this platform event series called Vision Babes, where you come in and you make your vision board.
Yeah.
And I went in the beginning of the year and I was doing my little vision board. What do I want for the year?
Yeah.
What do I want it to look like? And very big, I wrote make the EP.
Exactly.
Because I was like, I gave myself an ultimatum, which was just, I think, a way of being like, I'm like, you do it or you don't.
Yeah.
This year's the year. Like, you do it or you leave it.
Yeah. Oh my. Oh.
I know, it was very...
Whoa.
It was a very big ultimatum.
That was very like, okay.
But I
yes.
think I needed that in my mind
Okay.
of being like, I don't know. I think it's been on off. Music's been on off. I've been like, I'm doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm doing it. I'm not doing it. And yeah, I was just like, okay, I'm going to make this project. We're going to keep going.
Yeah.
And then it's going to...
I'm so thrilled because those of us who know you at Rhodes and know your kind of live performance sessions at Rhodes have been your day ones.
Listen.
And we just want your work in the world.
It will be.
Okay.
It will be. And I'm going to be back here when
it's out.
when the thing is released. It'll be a person. But yes, there's a lovely 5-track EP coming your way.
Amazing.
So.
I was so thrilled. Okay, so we're going to play some games today. These games are going to get us to a point where we kind of know a little bit more about you. Okay. They've been tailored towards you. So we're going to start off with what the know-it-alls know as, sorry to this man, Gonjubanilo. That's the name of the game. And then let's see.
No, but I feel like you're going to catch
I'm
me
not
with
gonna
this
catch
game.
you. These are people that are connected to you
No, but I'm going to be
and
like...
things that are connected to you. Okay, don't worry.
I don't trust.
No.
I'm like
Please trust me.
sweating.
Please trust me.
Right.
Ayanda usually uses this game to catch me out.
This is what I've seen. I've seen that this game is very intense.
No, but it really has diminished my brand as a know-it-all.
I feel like it might diminish mine too.
It really won't. It's about you.
Yeah, but
Okay.
you know, I was, as I was saying to you earlier, when I'm watching the Terrell show,
Yeah.
and then I'm like, they, say a word, and then I always sing the song that I
Yes,
would
exactly.
sing. But I'm like, I feel like it's that kind of situation where when you get into the seat,
You're like, no.
I don't know anything.
No, there was at some point on YouTube, people were like, Fezi, I can't believe you don't know. And I was like, you don't understand what it's like.
Yeah, when
to
you're in
be
the
here.
hot seat.
Exactly. Okay.
Okay.
So we're gonna start off. Sorry to this man, Gonjubanilo. Our first, I'm gonna give you a couple of clues.
Okay.
And then you're gonna let me know who you think that is.
Okay.
Let me read those clues so we
Okay.
can also just introduce people to the world.
Okay.
If you feel like you know who this person
Okay.
is. Okay, this one is easy.
Okay.
I am a visual poet born and raised in Grassy Park in Cape
Honey
Town.
Christian.
Give me a chance.
I'm just saying, I know what I know, when I know, how I know.
Let me tell you more about her. I am a graduate of
Got
Gender
them, babes.
Studies and Environmental and Geographical Sciences from the University of Cape Town. And then Bubblegum magazine has stated that I am one of the leading forces of the South African future.
Yes.
Haneem, Christian, tell me more about Haneem and specifically about the exhibition that you just had at the Market Theatre.
Haneem is an incredible artist who works primarily through the medium of photography, but also through film, and who is really engaged in documenting LGBTQIA+ lives, and with such care and concern for community, and has 3 beautiful photos in the exhibition, one called Mother and Daughter, which really depicts the beauty of chosen family, one called Zinzi the Ancient, where, a lot of Haneem's work is really thinking about us across time.
Yeah.
So not thinking about the present as something dislocated from past experiences. And then another called Kupi Sakinis, which is a beautiful image of 2 siblings against the backdrop of flats.
Yeah.
And you just see the life in the image. So that's her name.
Her name is fantastic. I met her briefly I met them rather, at the talk that you had at the market photo, and just a wonderful presence, but also like so bright and so clearly like articulate and thoughtful and connected to the work.
All of those things, and just so like just makes the most beautiful photographs, and is just someone so invested in the work and what that means. And I'm just really incredibly drawn to their work, but also just their presence and who they are as well.
So good. Okay. You see,
Not so hard.
not hard at all, but it's like when Terrell says hello, and then they're like, hello from the other side.
Exactly.
And then the second one is like,
Hello.
tonight. And then they're like, tonight?
Yeah, you're like,
Okay. So this one is also going to be so easy. My first clue is, after tripping and falling into theatre as a student in 1974, I have been...
Buckland.
Oh my God, give me a chance!
I'm sorry. These are just...
This is why she's a nerd.
This is simple.
Okay. After tripping and falling into theatre as a student in 1974, Andrew Buckland has been active both as a theatre maker and as an actor, performing in a range of theatre, film and television roles, both in classic and contemporary genres. My second clue was that he is 70 years old, and he was named the Associate Professor Emeritus after retiring from Rhodes University Drama Department. Tell me your... what the link is. Why would it be here? Why would I be talking about Andrew Buckland?
The link in this particular situation is that few people know that I was actually a theatre student, and that's my training and my grounding. So when we were both together where we met, Rhodes University, Andrew Buckland was a teacher lecturer there who eventually became head of department, but who was really teaching something called physical theatre, like a more physicalized form of acting, and who's acted across stage and screen and everything, Cirque du Soleil, who was, a deep influence on the theatre that I thought I was gonna make before I pivoted. Just an incredible performer who we saw recently in the Ugly Nunu. Inspiring at 70 to still be doing physical performance on that level. So,
would you return to theatre making?
I think I want to return through my music.
Okay.
Like, to think about the theatrical form through music. Would I return? I'd love like one spin, like
one little
moment to do like musical theatre, maybe like one season of something.
Sure.
I actually went to an audition once for a little musical theatre pre-COVID. I think I would, but it would be the right show, the right time.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess... because we were speaking about your exhibition for an article that I wrote, I think like theatre making has informed your kind of curatorial practice as well.
For sure.
Yeah, and just how you kind of like think about things and how people are gonna, how people are in relation to things as a kind of audience member. I think that's informed, I guess, the kind of work, and also your writing. I think your writing is very like located. And I also often say that, like, when I think about my own writing, I'm writing scenes. And I think that's also kind of similar sometimes when I read your work. Like, the article that I love of yours is, of course, all of the Lady Scully articles. But Zoe Modiga's kind of entry into the world with Yellow. And I think it was at the Joburg Theatre. And it just, like, immediately you, like, placed us in there. And I think that's, like, theatre making, right? Like, that, like, kind of trains your brain to give us space and place.
Yeah, I think as a curator, it's definitely something that came in. I was like, oh, okay, I'm just, like, staging. Part of it is I'm just staging this space. I know how to do that. I know how to work with lights and sound and, all these different things in order to tell a story. So that's definitely part of it. And I feel like there's so many lessons that I learned from theatre that I use every single day. So for sure, maybe as a writer, because it's the practice I'm less engaged with at the moment. It's something that I haven't really thought about how theatre filters into writing, but I think mainly what I'm trying to get back to is play with writing. Like when I reread that article that I wrote about Zoe, I just had fun. Like I was in that, part of like documenting the language at that time where we were all like, chop us, we are your onions, that kind of thing. And just also learning how I think when you're a writer and you're writing about a performance or something that happened live, a lot of it is observational. So what is around me? How do I add in what I'm hearing, what I'm seeing, and bring someone in? Because you're trying to do the thing that you're always trying to do in theatre as well, which is show, don't tell.
Yes, exactly. No, exactly. Okay, so give me a chance. Let me read all my things. Okay.
Is it really know it all?
Do you
do it?
Let me read all my things and then we can go. Okay, do you mind? I got 3 clues.
Sure, fine.
Okay, so I was raised in Soweto in the former Transvaal after my family was forcibly removed from Alexandra. I was recruited into Umkhonto Wesizwe, the army wing of the ANC after I finished high school. And then this gives it away.
I know it now.
Okay, Dani, congratulations on being smart.
Fine, thank you.
But wait on my clue.
Okay.
On the 25th of September 2008,
Yeah.
Parliament elected me the national president after former President Thabo Mbeki resigned at the ANC's request. Who am I?
Kgalema Motlanthe.
Oh my God. Why would Kgalema Motlanthe be here?
I like you telling these people my life stories. Because for a brief period, I think of 2.5 years, I worked as a speechwriter for Kgalema Motlanthe.
Right? Smart. Gorge and smart.
I cannot.
Gorge and smart. I remember hearing one of his speeches when I don't know if you had just started working for him or you had been working for him for a while. And I was still at the university called Rhodes, unfortunately. And he was giving an Africa Day speech, and he started quoting, what's this king's name? Oh my God, the king that we did in the Fanon course. Yo, and I was like,
you're like, who's here?
I was like, this is Dani Bowler. I just know that this is Dani Bowler. I mean, you've told me, and I've heard from multiple other people that he's one of our most read presidents, like deeply thoughtful and intellectual and like considered. But immediately I was like, I know that king. I know who wrote this.
Wasn't that
collaborated?
You were at university at that time.
Yes,
I remember.
No, I remember just being like,
you're like,
I know whose pen this is. Okay.
Yes.
So now we're talking about a thing, not a person.
Interesting.
This is a worldwide magazine of French origin that offers a mix of fashion and beauty content and society and lifestyle. Give me a second. In 1945, articles featuring rising fashion designers, which I think this is so cool. The magazine would provide free patterns of some of their fashion pieces. This allowed the general public to experience haute couture as the glamour of the fashion world was becoming accessible to the common working class. I think that's such a cool fact. And then in 2018, you worked for the South African iteration of this publication as the managing editor. Let the girls know.
Oh, that was All Magazine South Africa.
What a repertoire. What a repertoire. Queen, imagine presidents, Elle Magazine, curators.
Thank you.
Theater.
Hey, just a millennial.
You're every woman.
It's all in me.
I love that. That's so cool. I think that's
Thank
such a
you.
really like storied, like, you know, like cultural icon in the best way, you know? And then also like smart, like not. I was reading something that Toni Morrison said. Is she's like, not a lot of people are invested in being authors and not actually writers. And I was like, this is so true, because the actual practice of this thing is so incredibly difficult and requires sometimes for you to bring your whole self to
It's
it.
not a fun time.
Right? And you also have to have lived, I think, to be a really like thoughtful, serious writer. And not just kind of be like, I'm just gonna write my like autobiography on like nonsense.
I don't know. I often think that there's like, because that's a thing that in the memoir biography world, I've read some stunning like young memoirs, but I think that there's been a lot of life in them.
Yes.
I don't know who said it, but somebody was like, I wish I had the citation, but like, the best thing about writing is having written. And that's how
That
I
is
think
true.
a lot of us feel.
That's 100%.
Like the best part of writing is
like-
being finished, like hitting send.
It's just like, I want none of this in my life.
Exactly.
No, I don't mean that you need to be an adult, capital
No,
A,
I know what you mean.
to be a writer. But I really like, you know, sometimes I think about like, and I always think about rich texts.
Rich text.
And you know, a rich text really requires a lot from you as the writer. And I mean, I have obviously been in your life more as a kind of writing colleague. And so that's specifically the world that I know you from. But that's what I like kind of have observed about you and your kind of.
Yeah, I mean, like sometimes it just, I don't know, the best pieces for me are the ones that take over your life.
Yeah.
Where you're like, okay, I need to, like, often I think, okay, I must finish the internet. I must, like, finish Google. I must get to the final page of Google.
That's so
To feel that, like, okay, I've done...
I've done my research.
I've done my research. I've done my preparation.
Yeah. No, I mean, another friend was on a podcast talking about, you know, South Africa doesn't actually have a strong culture of features anymore, or even cover stories. But so there's multiple reasons for that. Often, like, you have limited time with the person that you want to speak to, and that's fine. But then the onus is on you as the writer to then finish the internet, do as much research as you can, come to the interview as prepared as you can, so the questions are like clear and concise and, you know, to the core of the thing. Yeah.
Agreed.
Okay, so our next game is, well, it's not game, it's the framing of the next part of this episode. So I think of you as kind of our resident pop expert, like everything pop. We can ask Dani Bowler.
I don't know about the expert, but
Sure.
I do love pop.
Yes, but a student of pop, are you producing pop?
Two things. One question.
Yes.
I think that I am in some ways producing pop, because the well-made pop song is like my template for writing music. So I think there's some ways that the work that I do can live in pop, and I think that we must consistently fight for Black girls to be in pop, named as pop, because you know, you're constantly pushed into the R&B, soul, anything other than pop.
Yeah.
So I think it's important for you know, Black girls, girls of color, Black people to be named pop. So that's, I think, part of my embrace of that. And at the same time, I'm embracing the R&B that I grew up with, that informs the style, the soul, all of it. I embrace the folk as well.
Yeah.
So I think that there's like a multi-genred thing to what I'm making. But I want to be saying pop.
I mean, also because I think genre gets us a little bit in trouble because we are kind of like multi-idiomatic, like drawing from different things.
Exactly.
And so I, in preparation for this episode, was just like asking friends, guys, who are South African pop artists? And everyone kept saying to me, well, actually, I don't know if this is fully pop, but this is more kind of R&B. And then when I was thinking, I was like, is bubblegum music kind of like pop? And I was like, yeah, that to me seems like our most clearest iteration of pop. And then I went on Google, and Google said, you know, because of the diversity of South Africa and because of the multiplicity of the people who are here, it's not necessarily pop, it's just what's popular. And so I was like really struggling, and then thinking about the VMAs recently, and Tyler being like, you know, look, you know, finally we can classify African music as pop music, which I think is actually a really important intervention. I don't know if it's historically correct.
Look, I think it's an interesting provocation. And in some ways, yes, absolutely. You know, Water is a pop song.
Yes.
As much as it is a range of other things at the same time. I think part of the history of pop music is what is popular.
Yeah.
So often when I think of pop, I'm like, what's on the radio?
Yes.
And I mean across radio stations. Because for me, that signifies a certain kind of pop or popularity. Not saying that there's not a lot of different genres on the radio. But I think that pop is not, it's not a neat category.
Yes.
I think a lot of music that's folk or that's rock gets classified as pop, which is, for me, there's an interesting thing going on there. And, you know, I'm always going, okay, who we excluding, who we including, and why, and how do we arrive at those definitions? So I think that Tyler's intervention that got lost in the malaise was an important one to say,
Truly.
you know, and also a brave thing to do,
Yes.
to get on that stage and say, thank you, I appreciate this.
But
I also want to say this very important thing in front of millions of people.
Yes.
So it pains me that it gets lost in another discursive disco.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say that there are a lot of things throughout the years that have been and that are pop, but there are also other things as well.
Yeah. So I then was thinking, who are my kind of like contemporary South African pop artists? Easy Freak. Have you listened to Easy Freak? That to me is
Absolutely. When you said that, Easy Freak came to mind.
right. I think Shekinah. Right.
That's like my epitome of what a South African pop star is right now is Shekinah.
Yes.
Yeah. Will Lindley, definitely pop.
Haven't come across their music.
Yeah.
Tell me more about that.
Will Lindley is a Cape Town-based artist, I think, who I've come across through the festival circuit, but who is like really making pop. Yeah, I mean, there's a case for Manana.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Not part of my list, but yes, I think there's a case to be made for Shoma Josie.
Absolutely.
I think that's a pop artist. Like to the T, to the styling, to the, you know, to the embraced by children. Like, I think to me that signifies this is a pop artist.
Also, there's a thing about pop where it's also about a way of being and a way of performing and a presentation.
Exactly.
So it's like, I think it's also beyond the music. It's like, okay, what about that is also coming into play?
Yeah, that's so interesting. Because to me, Zoe Modiga is a pop artist when she's with Seba Kapstad. Yes, that's when I'm like, pop.
Yes.
But not necessarily when she's doing her kind of solo stuff, even though like there's invocations of that in that. And then of course Tyler, right? That's pop, right? So we're gonna play a game. It's called This or That and Why. So it's gonna be
okay.
This or that or why.
Okay.
So it's gonna be what's the English for this now, Fezo Buhle? It's the quick questions in succession. You have to tell me this or that.
Okay.
And then we're gonna go afterwards and think about why.
Is it timed?
No, it's not time, but you do need to give me your first answer. Like, you need to be quick.
Okay.
Actually, it will be time. 3 seconds.
Hi, Bo. Okay.
Okay, so what feels more pop to you?
Okay.
So this is, I kind of like started speaking to my art student friends and
I'm excited.
to my art student friends and being like, okay, tell me who you think is pop. Who do you think is pop? Okay. Nakane's Tell Me Your Politic versus Munga K's Who's It Gonna Be?
Nakane.
AKA's Kafia Song versus Gwenzegile by Blackie featuring Matumane and Chang Chilo.
Not sure.
Okay. Yvonne Chaka Chaka's Umqomboti versus Brenda Fassie's Vulindlela.
Vulindlela.
Adila Sesfigile versus Who's It Gonna Be? By 101.
Why'd you want to do this to me? Both.
Both is
fair. Both.
I feel like, okay, Afrozi's Phenomenal versus Jamali's Delile. More pop. Interesting. Wait, we're gonna go back. Don't worry.
No. Disagree with my initial answer, but I'm gonna justify.
Okay. So now why?
Okay.
Why Nakane?
Tell
me your politic.
Because I think that there's like in that song quite an insistent type of pop hook that is instantly memorable. But first you gotta tell me your politics. Yeah, and I think that album was Nakane particularly in pop star mode on the dance floor.
Yes.
So.
But it's interesting to me also because in as much as it's pop star mode, like the way that they dress themselves, that they kind of present is also this kind of like hardcore like
rock.
And I was speaking earlier with Callum, who's thinking about like what are the ways in which other genres kind of invite other people into the conversation of that genre while still being a pop song.
You know, I think that even Nakane's mode of presentation and dressing is a classic pop star move because they moved from kind of thinking about femininity to thinking about masculinity to thinking about war to thinking about the way that dressing in camouflage and that kind of performance of masculinity. That's a classic pop move.
Sure.
To shift.
Yes.
The way that you present.
And also like the shift of the vocal. That just was so cool.
So that for me is like iconically pop.
Love. Okay. AKA's Kafia song.
I think I'm gonna go with AKA here.
Okay.
Because I've been thinking a lot about the use of a sample and the use of kind of what was classic about AKA's music was the use of what had come before and kind of what was memorable to us. And I think that even just that modality was an interesting...
And also kind of bringing that nostalgia into a kind of contemporary place where, I mean, hip-hop does this all the time.
Yeah.
But there was something that was suffused in that iteration for AKA that was like, ooh, this is fun.
And
you know?
kind of like... quite specific to the music that he made was thinking about, okay, how am I going to invoke your childhood song or the thing you heard in your house and in a way that was similar to, I think, American hip hop, where that use of the sample is so familiar. And you found it here where I think he was like really embedded in the songbook.
Yes.
As something. So
I mean, it's always also interesting for me when people say that like Drake is actually a pop star and not necessarily just fully a hip hop star. And I think that's you know like the kind of growth of hip hop and the genre, so that we now have pop stars is also interesting. No matter who you thought won the beef, it's interesting. Yes, of course it was Kendrick. Haters unite.
The way I was embedded day by day.
Every day I was like, yo.
Like, what's going on?
Every day I was like, whoa. Yes, Kendrick won the beef. But what I'm saying is that Drake is an interesting kind of case study, you know, about, you know, the ways in which pop can like move and shift. I mean, hip hop rather.
And also like the rap song combo, the melodic the use of the melodic, particularly in the songs that get popular.
Yes.
I think that's the interesting thing.
I think this was what also made AKA's song so incredibly successful. I do want to say I'm on a Blackie, like, this is my
At the moment.
jam. Literally every morning I wake up.
Oh, were you just about to go?
Every morning I'm waking up to Blackie's Abeko. Wow, what a jam. What a jam. What a number. Stream it. Tell it was me. Tell him it was me. But I think he's doing really interesting things for the genre in Durban.
Yeah.
I think he's showing how experimental Durban musicians can be. And also just just infusing such KZN'ness to it, which I love.
Yeah.
You're a queen from Ifafa Beach.
Listen, ripping and standing my 200-person community.
Exactly.
Forever.
And it's just like, I feel so like present in his music, but I also like now living in Johannesburg, I'm like, this is my when I'm driving in the highway, I'm like, yes, this song also sounds like it's from here. It's so deeply South African.
Do you know, it just makes me feel like how like TRO or like East Coast flavor makes me feel.
Yes.
Because that's like the epitome of a certain time in my childhood where I was like, oh no, I'm very proud to be from here and to be who I am, that kind of thing. And so I feel you on, people, the songs that make you feel like that. Yeah.
So good. Okay. You chose Brenda Fassie's Vulindlela over Yvonne Chaka Chaka's Umqomboti. Tell me why.
Such an unfair question. I'm going to premise that because, when there's something about a song where you say, like, you say the name and it starts playing in my head.
Yes.
Umqomboti. Like,
everybody.
Come on. And that's you've put me in a double bind there. But
welcome to the show.
Yeah, so but it's my stomach is like this because I'm like, I'm fighting. But Vulindlela, come on. Like,
song of the nation.
Iconic. Like, that's just tied to like I remember my mom's one birthday, that was the CD that she wanted. And like that song, you can't go to a wedding without hearing that song.
Exactly.
Like,
it's still the kind of song that like everyone's gonna jump up immediately, irrespective of age.
But also that's such an iconic pop star.
Yes.
So,
yes. If you are looking at our background, you'll see Brenda Fassie, but then you'll also see Madonna. And it was so interesting. I was reading in one of her interviews where she's like, people keep totally calling me the Madonna of Africa. Baby, Brenda Fassie. Sorry, let's do this again. People keep calling me the Madonna of America. She's the Brenda Fassie of.
Well, there's the Tyler conversation.
Yeah.
Right back.
Yes.
Exactly. That thing of categorization of the familiar, of context, of location. All about it.
Okay. This another double bind. Adila Sesfigile versus who's it gonna be next in line? What's up?
Do you really think I can tell time? Stop lying. It's not hiding. Be crying out for you. This is the one where I was like both.
Okay.
Because I will fight for Sesfigile until I die. That is my song. Like,
such a jam.
But also that song, there's just so many moments it goes through.
No matter how hard Gunzima.
Exactly. And that's the thing for me, is that each person who brought what they had to that song just made it more iconic. Like, it pains me that I can't find that on streaming, because the amount of times I just want to, you remember Sesfigile? Like, come on. Like, this just, every part of that song, it builds.
It just goes.
Come on.
And then it's woo, it just goes. That song is so fire.
It should be more iconic.
Yes. Do you know what? I feel like I have the CD in my car because I'm that kind of person. That album is so good.
Like, it pains me. I'm like, where's Adela? Like, what is
so
going on?
good. Coca-Cola Pop Stars, I need you to come back and I need you to give the girls a check again.
But I think I need that era of it.
Yes.
Like, I don't need a new era of it. I need that era. Like,
Such
where
a
it
good
was
album.
like, you know, Pop Stars was new.
Yeah.
Idols was new.
Yes.
And like, the people we got, like Bianca LaGrange, like, you know, they were so interesting and talented to the T. So the reason I said both is because that is hands down one of my like top 10, top 20 fave South African songs. And then you said Jamali.
Okay, the next one is Afrozi's.
No, but I said Sesfigile and who was
Sesfigile versus Who's It Gonna Be?
Oh, yeah, and I said no, I refuse, like both of those.
Yeah.
Because you must remember Who's It Gonna Be was the first single from 101.
Stop lying.
Like, I won't be crying over you.
That's
Like-
my jam.
But it's also just like, that was the first, like, I feel like we were really investing in our reality TV shows at that point. I remember that song, I think, was UK written by like a iconic group of writers or writer. I just remember this one conversation Pam Andrews was having with the writer of the song. And I just feel like that song was so pop. When they said Coca-Cola Pop Stars.
Yes.
So even if people don't remember 101 anymore, they know that song.
Yes,
So.
100%. And also, like, it was so interesting for me in that particular moment in South Africa for Coca-Cola to be like, we want pop stars. Do you know what I mean? I think this was the advent of Afro pop. Like, Afro pop was really big in the scene. And of course, like, incredible, amazing strides were happening in there. But then to then say, no, we also just want pop stars. Blow, like, just so good. It just blew my mind the entire time. I was like, whoa, what? And it just was such, you know, the music memory of my childhood. It's just, it's so good to me.
It was like backstage for real.
Yes.
Like, I always remember the episodes where they were around the piano and they were singing, like, it was some classic song that they all sang. And it was, you know, there's just such... you know, the memories of the people standing in a line, because that's how they auditioned, in a line, and then you stepped out and you sang your song. And I think we were mesmerized. We'd never seen like music reality television before. So it just felt like anything could happen.
And it just was charged, and people were talented.
People
were so talented. Oh my God.
I recently did like a deep dive. I was like, where is 101? And like went back to everybody and just remembered like how incredible people were, you know?
Yeah. Okay, so our final one is Afrozi's Phenomenal, which you just reminded me before we started the episode. And then Jamali's Delile.
Also unfair. So I just refuse this choice matrix.
I refuse the binary.
Thank you. No, thank you. The thing with Afrozi, which people might not remember, Afrozi was the band that was formed after 101 was formed and they won. Yes. Afrozi still went on to be a band. And I was sitting there in Ifafa, like 16 years old, and was just like grade 10. Like, oh my gosh, like had never felt like I was such a fan.
Yeah.
Since I was a child, I've been a fan.
Yes.
I was born to stand.
Me too.
Listen. And that album came out and you couldn't catch me without that album. The reason I was saying we were investing in writing and pop writing at that time is because Phenomenal is a classic. Phenomenal, like you love me is. Like, it's a classic pop song. Great hook. Memorable.
Good hook.
Verse, chorus, bridge, chorus.
Yes.
Let's go.
Exactly. Let's go.
So for me, definitely Phenomenal as of its time, you know, because you're putting two different eras together. Yeah.
Exactly.
So with Jamali, like, come on. Jamali,
Ah,
come on.
I'm so mad that I keep missing them when they perform.
We're gonna go.
It's breaking my heart.
Listen. I'll never do anything to change you. Hey, let's not try to lose the spot, please. Leave me alone.
But you know, Marishan has come back, and to me, it's still like, you know, like
making
pop.
incredible things. It's pop.
Making such beautiful, incredible stuff. So, you know, it's just like really interesting to kind of think about our pop lineage in South Africa.
Yeah, and also that song is a
Daily,
you know, and they were doing something very new.
Yeah.
That I don't think they get a lot of credit for because they were the classic kind of Destiny's Child, like band, like in the R&B form, but they were blending, you know, classically South African styles, languages, like all of that, which I don't think they get enough.
And it was so interesting to me that these three colored women also really reminded us of just how interconnected South African identity actually is, and that was just like it was like show don't tell. It was so like obvious in the music. It wasn't like a gimmick.
No,
it was just such a part, you know, it was such a part of them, which love.
I'm gonna actually put it on in the car later because
Do you know what my pop song from there is? Pump it up for Jamali. Everybody in the club, Jamali. Give it up for Jamali.
Come on.
Dalang Funa Lamfana. That was my pop song of the time.
I don't know. Like, I think you can make a case for Butterflies.
Woo! Driving into a new situation.
Knocking everybody
off their feet.
Ain't nobody can hold my attention.
You hold my attention.
Easily. Come on.
You work your magic in the room.
Which was also my first song I ever performed, like, in front of an audience.
I love that.
With my friends, because, of course, we had a group at school. And I was Marishan.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, Dani, are you going to be performing anytime soon? What can we expect from you? What are you up to?
I don't think performing anytime soon.
Okay.
At the moment is finishing.
Yes.
Like, I'm serious about finishing this project. So the rest of the year will be finishing. And like I said, I really want to think about live performance. Like, what kind of live performance am I going to give you?
Yeah.
So next year we're here.
Okay.
We live like Clive.
Live like Clive.
Come on.
It's almost 2025, so you know next year's here. So Queens, we're coming. We're coming.
Be ready.
I'm so ready. I was watching your I think it's like from Bowler, I think it was.
Oh yes, my story.
Your story. And I as you were talking about it, I was like, I miss Dani on social media. I miss you so much on social media.
You know, because I'm an offline hand.
But I just miss like the very particular way that you were able to like capture like what would be very banal experiences in the world and like really create a kind of like life force in them. Of course, in the video, which if I'm good at editing will be somewhere. You're talking about your trip to London to go see Adele.
Yo.
And it's such a funny story, but I just think there's just been so many ways in which you've kind of brought us in as an audience.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, well, maybe I'll be a bit more there by social media. I don't know. I'm not promising things I can't promise. Social media is an anxious place.
It really is.
So
it really is. No, I completely I get why. I
Mm-hmm.
get why. But I just was thinking that like, oh my God, like there was such a generosity once upon a time on social media. And I think people like used to use it in such good faith. And then kind of,
you know, when I laughed and I was archiving things because I was like, yeah. I really used to be here just talking nonsense.
I'm always talking nonsense on my Instagram.
Like, hello, what kind of everybody? So.
But so good. So incredibly good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being our first guest co-host.
This was fun.
And like just holding space and being the amazing babe love. that you are. Thank you so much for those of you who are watching. Welcome to season 2. We've got so many incredible treats for you. All 208 of you, thank you so much for subscribing. And we can't wait to speak to you soon.